Hi everyone, it's Cindy from Cindy's Art. Today we are going to paint a ocean watercolor beach painting, and this is a very simple process. I'm using an Arches watercolor paper, and this is cold press, and it's a 4x6 size, and I've taped it down to the back of the pad of paper of my Arches. So it's a great cardboard, and use simple things, keep things inexpensive if you're starting off doing watercolors. So when I started off, I used my pencil and I sketched just the horizon line at the top and then the bottom part of the beach. Then I used a crayon. I would use one that's pretty sharp and be generous. I drew some of the foamiest parts of the waves there, a few thin lines, and a crayon is wax. It basically is going to block paint and water from getting in. And as I paint this picture, and I'm going to lay down color upon color, it's going to block out anything from soaking in there. And I'll be left with something that looks like foam on a beach. I add paint and some other lines in there later on, but it is a great way to block out. Instead of using masking fluid, for example, I would recommend trying it. So I've started this painting off wet on wet, and I've listed for you some of the colors that I'm using. And you can see this is quite wet, and that's because I want the colors to spread. So I'm using a marine blue right now. I'm going to use some peacock blue and some ultramarine blue deep here for the line that is the furthest from me. And all I'm trying to do is just drop the color in and then let it run by itself. Because it's wet enough, I'm going to tilt this board. It's going to help get the paint running down, up to the sides, whatever I want it to. And one of the reasons why I want to put a video out like this for you is because this is a simple way to blend colors just by having your wet paper. And I would suggest not too wet, very wet. It's just going to run all over the place. Well, right now it's about a medium wet. There is a little bit of a shine, but it's not too shiny. That's one of the ways you can gauge your paper on how wet is this, and only by trying and practicing will you get it. So I've added enough color in where these backgrounds blended and my paper is starting to dry. So I'm using a smaller brush to drop in a little bit of neutral mixed in with the marine blue. And what I'm doing is putting in the underneath of the wave. The top of the wave is going to be very light. This is speaking from someone who has watched oceans in Hawaii for you don't know how many hours. It's just amazing. I just love it. So I love beaches, but I love the ocean colors. So I added in a little bit of the darker blues just to hint at where some of those waves are and where they're cresting and lifting up. And then as I've gone down to the beach, I'm using a little bit darker colors today on my beach with this burnt umber, a little bit of yellow ochre, and then I use a tiny bit of quinacridone scarlet, and I'm actually using it right there. And the reason why is I just find that it picks up some of that wet sand color really well. And you can see that I am simply just doing a wet on wet and letting this blend as well. And then I'm going to move on to the sky, doing it strategically. My beach is wet. The waves for the ocean are pretty much dry. And I cannot put any paint on either one of those or I'll mess it up. So I go to an area that is away from all of them and I lay down the next section of paint. I only use cerulean blue on the left-hand side and a little bit of permanent violet. And for beginners, this is a great way to practice, how do you let colors blend and mix together themselves and come out with this beautiful, beautiful wash. So this is a painting that will allow you to do that. So again, I've let some of those colors blend and I've let the bottom dry enough where I can go in and paint the shadow underneath of the wave at the beach. Because it's at the beach, I'm using neutral plus a little bit of the burnt umber. When I move to paint the shadow with the wave, I'm using a tiny bit of neutral with a little bit of permanent violet. When I add more color in later, it'll be the neutral plus ultramarine blue in there. And it comes out with a beautiful shadow look for the shadows that would be within your waves. So what I'm doing right now is just continuing to add in some layers of colors. Why am I doing that? Listen, when you put down your paint for your first layer, I tend to go light, and there's other people who are much bolder and I love them for it. I tend to go light, so I have to go back in and I will continue to lay colors in to my painting. So I'm using the same colors I've already listed for you, and then I'm adding colors in to make it more vibrant. I love the beach wave that's near the shore, but you can't tell where that white is, and I need that to pop out more. And you cannot see the light if you do not have the dark within a painting. So you're going to see me develop this shoreline wave. I'm going to continue to use yellow ochre in that front. Why? Because there is sand underneath of these waves, and I want to capture a little bit of that color. So I'm being careful that if I put yellow ochre down, I put my marine blue not touching the yellow, but just slightly around it. Why do I do that? Blue plus yellow equals green. So I don't want to green be my prominent color here on this ocean. I've got ocean paintings that I've done where I have green, but not for this one. So I'm going to use marine. I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt, a little bit of my peacock blue, and I'm going to add this in to this area by the beach because I want this to pop out more. I want you to see more of that sand. I want you to see that even with the white foam, there's these beautiful blue colors down in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to add in these colors, and you can watch for a second. I am going to add in some more blues, and I'm using a little bit of the peacock mixed with marine in these sections and horizon blue. That's the lightest blue. And all I'm going to do is continue to add some color until I can see that those crayon marks, right now all you're seeing are crayon marks for that white foam. And I love it because you can't mess it up. And this painting is so simple. By letting colors mix together, you really can't go wrong. And Arches watercolor paper is a great paper. If you're a beginner, I would say just get some simple brushes. I've got videos on that, but use a quality watercolor paper and use a quality paint as well. It really does make a difference, and you don't have to buy 13 million tubes in order to get there. Put some comments in there. Tell me what you're struggling with. If you need me to do videos on some other products and stuff, and I'll do it. So I put in some extra color. You're going to see me add some more in. And right now I'm working on this white foam. And I'm doing that with I used a jelly roll pen. That was the white pen. And I used that to draw these fine lines. All I was doing was drawing a little bit of structure, so I understood where I wanted to maybe protect some of the fine lines in the wave. And right now I'm doing more of a scraping and dry brushing by putting a little bit of Dr. P.H. Martin's, it's called Bleed Proof White. It is a watercolor paint, and if you make a mistake on a watercolor, this stuff will cover that mistake, and then you can try to paint that again. But when I need a bright white, I'm using this right now, and I really like it. The jar is going to last me forever. So I bought that on Cheap Joe's. I'll have this listed in the materials. But I use a scraping method by putting a little bit of that white on my brush, and then I just brushed it along the sides of the waves so I could make it look like I scratched on the waves, but it does look nice and foamy. And then here you see I'm going back and adding some more shading into the waves. And I will wind up using a little bit of neutral just to make sure that I've completed my shadows, because a wave comes up, it comes down upon a beach, so there's going to be a little bit of a darkness in there. And then I am relaxing and playing at this point with my picture. I could have called it done, but all I'm doing is taking my bleed proof white and I'm doing some fine lines on the ocean because I love just working on detail. I put in a few dots of black in there to represent some dirt or rocks that might be on it. And this picture would be great to give away to friends. Many times if something comes out and I like it a lot, I will take a picture of it and then I'll turn it into a print where I can sell like a collection of ocean or beaches or waves, and I will sell that as a set that people can buy of my watercolor art. So that's it. And I put a little bit more fuss into it, and that's because I'm just relaxing and chilling when I did this. The video will probably take you about 20 minutes to do it. Just focus on the basic layers, the basic colors, the basic paints. And then, yes, you can use this pen or use some other things and just play with it. But I've enjoyed being with you. Be sure to like this video and list a comment and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next time.